You and I both know what it's like to have somebody you love get really sick. And in some cases to lose somebody, but that loss is compounded when you see the stress on their faces because they're worried that they're being a burden on their families. They're worried about whether the insurance is going to cover the treatments that they need. I couldn't be prouder of what we got done. 20 million people have health insurance that didn't have it because of what we did. But you remember when we were talking about this, I always used to say the Affordable Care Act, Obamacare, it's like a starter house.
Yep.
It's the first house you get. And it's not the end of the process, it's the beginning of the process.
You know, we used to say that, this is a starter house.
Yeah.
Remember what I used to say? It's like Social Security when it was first passed.
That's exactly right.
Social Security when it was first passed was this narrow.
Very narrow.
Social Security now
And you kept
is
on
here.
building it up.
Kept building it out.
Making it better.
Well, it's a little,
Right.
that starter house,
Right.
they got inside the house and they realized, well, God, this is better than being out in the cold.
It's,
Number one. But number two, and then I said, but I got to get out there banging down the house. They're trying to take down the house. And I didn't realize the reason I had this house is because of them. And what's happening now is that you have so many people now. I can't think of any time since the flu in 1918 that the public had, I don't know then, but it appears it had to be totally, thoroughly aware
Right.
of how vulnerable they were.
Right.
Now you have people going, oh my Lord.
And look, you're absolutely right that it is hard to fathom anybody wanting to take away people's health care in the middle of a major public health crisis.
And offer nothing.
At a time when unemployment is in double digits.
Remember this. Universal health care.
I am going to take care of everybody. Far less expensive and far better.
We are going to be submitting in a couple of weeks a great health care plan.
That was candidate and freshly minted President Trump vowing to repeal Obamacare and replace it with a miracle health care plan in his magical
Couple of weeks.
Well, here we are more than 3 years into the Trump presidency, 6 months into a pandemic, and here's the plan. But in fairness to the president, he has managed to get something done, dismantling key provisions of Obamacare in the courts, namely the individual mandate. And now he's marshaling his Justice Department to try to kill the whole thing. Just as America is suffering through a pandemic that's killed more than 150,000 of our fellow Americans and infected millions more. All while the second quarter GDP number was the worst on record, nearly 33% in the red if it were extended to the whole year. So no wonder the president keeps promising that his mission to kill the Affordable Care Act won't actually remove one of the things that people really like about it.
Pre-existing conditions will be totally protected. Pre-existing conditions.
Okay, so that claim received the coveted Bottomless Pinocchio Award from the Washington Post, because covering pre-existing conditions is something only Obamacare does right now. A provision that pulls really strong, even among Republicans, because it turns out that having a pre-existing health condition occurs across partisan lines. Not to mention, President Trump has no answer for the fact that since the Affordable Care Act was passed, upwards of 20 million Americans who weren't insured before now are. So this is the old arsonist as a firefighter routine, with possibly your life on the line. But wait, now we're in an election year, so you might have heard something like this.
Show that this healthcare president is the one that is governing. This healthcare president started out with transparency. That's what we're focused on, that the healthcare president continued to deliver for America.
But remember that Kellyanne Conway is the person who famously said you don't take an oath to tell the truth before you go on TV. But where's the plan that this alleged healthcare president told Chris Wallace would be released again within those magical
Within 2 weeks, a full and complete healthcare plan.
We've heard all this before. And even if there were a plan, there's virtually no chance it would get put into place before Election Day. Look, good people can disagree over the details of healthcare. It's complicated, whether it's the ACA, the public option, Medicare for all, or a more free market plan that has some evidence that it might lower costs. But we can't ignore the fact that a decade after Obamacare's passage and endless demonization by the GOP, there still isn't a serious Republican plan for replacement. It's all repeal, all the time, even in a pandemic, no matter how many people might get hurt, all for short-term political gain, all bolstered by apparent ignorance.
Nobody knew that health care could be so complicated.